Now we are going to make a homemade pie crust, and there's a lot of people out there that usually buy the store-bought pie crust, but you know, there's so many preservatives in that, and there's so many chemicals, and chances are those store-bought pie crusts have been sitting in a warehouse for at least 6 months to a year, which can really diminish the quality and the taste of your homemade pie for the rest of it. So I'm going to show you how to make a pie crust for a apple pie and 2 pumpkin pies. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 2 recipes for what's called a double crust pie. The first one's going to be for the pumpkin pies, and the second batch is going to be for the apple pies. So let's go ahead and get started. So what you first want to do is you want to sift together the flour and the salt, and the flour calls for 2.5 cups. And what I have over here already is a sifter, and you can just attach it to the bowl of your mixing bowl and just go ahead and pour that right in. So that was 1/2 cup, and now we have 1 cup here. And we do this to level it off, that way you get a nice even measurement. So that's 1.5 cups. And here is 2.5 cups here. So we just want to lightly sift this down like so. You can just kind of shake it as you go. Hello, Moo Moo. We have a little person here on 4 paws and fur that wants to be the star of the show. That happens to be my munchkin, Moo Moo. And I have another munchkin named Romeo, who they're very, very social. I'll say that much. They love to be around people. So we're just going to just shake this down and sift this down and so forth. See how quickly that was? Okay. Now next we want to add a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and it could be any kind of salt you have. It doesn't really matter. So we're going to take this and put it down to 1/2 teaspoon and pour this over here, over the sink. That way we don't get it everywhere. And we're going to just take that salt and stick it right in the sifter like so, and just kind of shake it down a little bit. And there you are. We have the pie flour and the salt in here. Now the next thing it calls for is a 2/3 cup of shortening. And over here we have a can of shortening. And you can use any kind of shortening. It can be any store-bought or Crisco, that kind of thing. It doesn't have to be anything in particular. So let's get our 2/3 cup measuring cup out, along with a little spatula. And we're just going to measure this out here. And you really, really want to press it in there. You don't want to get any uneven air bubbles and so forth, because that can really mess up your pie crust recipe. So just kind of squeeze it in there so you get a nice even measurement and so forth, and just level it off as you go. And just a little tiny bit more here. Okay, there we go. Here's our 2/3 cup of vegetable shortening. And some recipes call that you cut this in with a pastry cutter, and I don't have a pastry cutter, so we're going to use a bread dough hook to mix our pie crust, and there's nothing wrong with that. You can do one or the other. It just depends on your preference or what you have on handy. So let's add that in here. Alrighty. And we need to get 6 to 7 tablespoons of cold water. So let's go over here to our sink, our little filter device we have here. And we're just going to go ahead and fill this up about halfway, just to have it on hand here. It's easier to scoop out from a full measuring cup than it is to scoop out from one on the bottom. So here we go. We'll get our measuring cup here. I'm sorry, measuring spoon rather. And let's bring this down. Lock this in. Always make sure it's in a locked position because it can go everywhere on you, trust me. And what we want to do is we want to add okay, sorry folks, I had a little technical glitch there. As I said before, what we want to do is add 6 to 7 tablespoons of cold water, and we want to be doing this as the pie crust dough is mixing. So let's turn this on low speed, and we're just going to add this in as we go. So 1, 2, we'll give it 3 tablespoons full, and we just want to do this halfway because you want to just form a dough ball. You don't want to put too much in there at once because you want it to mix as you go to get a nice even mixture on your pie crust. And you can see how it's kind of coming together there on the bottom. So we can continue. 4, 5, and 6. Okay. Now we can speed this up just a little tiny bit, but not too fast. So you don't want to blend it too fast. You want it just to incorporate really, really well and give it that nice even mixture. Okay, we're going to stop this for a second. Bring this up, and we're going to scrape down the sides here. And this is just so all the flour gets mixed in really well and you're not having any problems with your dough later. There we go. Okay. And you can bring it to about 3rd speed and be okay for a few minutes. Bring it up to about 4th. Okay, let's stop this for a second and scrape down the sides one more time. And you also want to bring any kind of flour from the bottom, you want to scoop that up and bring it up to the top. That way any kind of dry flour that the bread hook wasn't mixing can get into that really, really well. All right. We're going to continue here. We're going to go on 4th speed. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's test this and see how it is. Okay, kind of do a hand check in there too, because if your dough feels still kind of dry, you can add another tablespoon or two more water in there. Yeah, this still feels a little on the dry part, so let's add about another tablespoon or two of water. That way we can get a nice even dough. And we're going to keep mixing here for another minute or two. Okay, you see how that's forming a dough right there? That's exactly what we want. Okay. All right, let's pull this up. Okay, see how it really holds together and it's really stiff? It's kind of like that, kind of a Play-Doh substance. This is exactly what you want. You want it to be able to hold together just like this. So this is perfect. So let's remove the hook. Unlatch the bread bowl. Bring this over here. And another tip I like to share with you, a lot of people don't realize this, but commercial bakeries usually use like a large fiberglass or marble table when they mix their bread dough, their pie pastries, breads, things like that. And if you don't have a large cutting board or a large silicone cutting mat, it's okay. You can just clean your surface off really, really well, sanitize it with Lysol, and rinse it off really well, and then take some industrial sized foil and take some Scotch tape and just Scotch tape the ends, and then take another piece of tape here, another piece of tape here. This will really, really lock it in, so you're not going to have any problem with the foil moving around on you. So we need to come back over here one more time to get some flour to be able to mix. Oh, there's my sink there. Hello, people. We need to get some flour to be able to blend into the dough. Right over here. And just keep a small bowl of flour by you whenever you're kneading dough or making cookies, anything like that. It really helps your dough not stick to anything, which works out really, really well. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to take some flour, we're going to sprinkle it on the foil, and you want a pretty good coat of flour. Foil does stick. You can also use parchment paper too. And I'm going to go ahead and put our pie plates over here so I can have some more room to work with. Alrighty. So we're going to put some more flour here. And we're going to take our dough out. Yeah, that feels really good. That's a really good consistency on dough. Feels really good. Okay. Now, as you can see here, we have a ball. And most people, they can refrigerate your dough, but you don't necessarily have to. It can easily be, it's easily workable, depending on what you want to do. Okay. And we want to take it, you want to pinch the edges on the side, make sure it doesn't crumble on you. And then you want to divide it in half. You can easily make a mistake by starting to roll your dough and not have enough for either one. So if that happens, just take a little bit on the other one and just kind of set it aside there. Okay. Then with this, you just want to take it and you kind of want to make like a flat ball. Probably about the width of a softball size, because you want to be able to work with the dough but not have it be too small for you either. And you really want to shape the dough first before you start taking your rolling pin to it. And this is so that it, when you start rolling it, it will keep a shape better rather than having be flat on one side, round on the other, that kind of thing. I've seen all kinds of things happen in my 18 years as being a baker. So we're going to take this and we're just going to slightly put a little bit of tiny pressure, not a whole lot. Just take your dough, 2, 3, 4, 5, and just make little corner turns as you're rolling your dough out. And you just want to apply a gentle pressure. You don't want to apply a whole lot of pressure to this dough. And again, just kind of pinch the parts in a little bit that are cracking. Romeo! That is my munchkin Romeo, who wants to say hello. He is a ham for attention, I tell you that. He's a great cat. He's called a munchkin, and he really wants to go outside, but Mama Carrie is not going to let that happen. Okay, so again, you just want to bring the edges in so it avoids less cracking. And you can be a little generous with the flour. Okay, like so. And as the dough starts to expand and make more of a round shape, you can start applying more pressure to be able to have that dough really work together, and so forth. So just start really flattening out. The flatter it gets, the more pressure you want to make, but just make sure as you're doing it, it's even along each part you're doing. Let's turn the light on here. Sorry, getting a little dark over here for some reason. Okay. And you just keep going and going, working in force, you know, and so forth. And don't be afraid to make your own pie crust. It's really not that hard. A lot of people are intimidated. They think, oh my goodness, pie crust is so hard to make. And it's really not. I mean, if you can make a sandwich, you can make your own pie crust, as my grandma always used to say. And oh, she was Norwegian. If she ever found out we bought frozen pie dough, oh gosh. My Uncle Warren and my cousins can tell you, it was really not a good thing. My mother's side's Scandinavian, Swedish, Norwegian, Finnish, and my father is German, French, Scottish, and American Indian. So we have a very interesting blend of nationalities in our family. Okay, we're just gonna keep turning this little by little, keep going, and just keep pulling it down where there's a shortage of it. And if it cracks, don't worry about it, just push it back together. It's not hard to do at all. Okay, we're making progress here. And there is Romeo once again, who I don't think wants to roll a pie crust out. His paws are too short and he has no thumbs. So he's just wants attention from Mama. He wants everyone out there to know that he's here. And if you hear him meow in the background, I do apologize. The one thing about munchkins is they're very, very intelligent, but they're also very talkative. They're next to the Siamese, they're actually pretty loud. And Siamese cats are beautiful. They're really great cats to have, but they're also talkers. So we have no idea what they're saying, but they're very, very expressive. That's for sure. Okay, it's coming along very nicely. It's cracking a little bit on the edges, and that's okay. It can do that. And the weather can also affect the the quality of your crust too. So if you're doing it on an overcast day like I am, you can have a bit of a moist crust in the middle and it be really dry on the ends. And as opposed to a hot day where it's really dry in the middle and moist on the ends. Why it does that, I have no idea. Pie crust can have a mind of its own that can be really silly to work with sometimes. It's kind of, it can be a little stubborn at times. Alrighty. So, we're going to keep rolling and rolling and rolling here, just to keep it going. Okay, and now we've got a really good sized pie crust. In order to check the size of your pie crust, which you can do, is go over here and turn your pie crust pan upside down. In this case, I'm using glass, and if it easily fits in the middle of the pie crust, then you know you've made one big enough. So we can easily just turn this over, put this right over here, and don't be afraid to pick up your pie crust and put it into your pan. A lot of people get really intimidated by that. Okay, sorry everybody, I'm dusting off flour. And we will be right back. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and we have the pie crust rolled on our rolling pin here. And you can use either metal or wood, it really doesn't matter. And as I've shown, I'm going to go ahead and show you how easy it is to transfer the pie crust into your pie plate here. So you carefully just want to take it, roll it with your fingers, just like so. You don't want to pull it or smash it or anything. You just want to kind of work with it and work with it and work with it until it's all rolled around really easily. And then take your rolling pin, and smoothly go ahead and unroll it really gently over your pie pan, like so. And don't worry if it gets a little crazy on the edges or you're a little uneven. You know, nobody's perfect. We can just adjust that as we go, like so. Okay, there we go. Okay, it's in. And what you can do now is carefully take your fingers and just kind of push it down very slightly, very gently around the edges. And then kind of with the back of your hand, work your way to the middle of the pie, like so. And then take the excess crust, leave it here for a second because we're going to do something extra special with that. So what you can do with any kind of extra pie crust is take a knife and cut out the excess, and we're going to use that to make a little pretty design a little bit later. So stay tuned and we'll be right back.